All right, thanks so much for staying with us. We're not done yet. We still have the guest in the studio who will be taking us through the impact of the extension of the governorship and House of Assembly polls. All right, so before the break, we were talking about the impact of what the extension of the election will have on the lives of Nigerians, talking about business, social, and what have you.
Looking at the impact it's going to have, the postponement is going to have on Nigerians, I think the major one has to do with this long-awaited election to go so that we can have a sigh of relief in terms of whether we can have cash being injected into the system so that this cash scarcity can stop. Because whether you like it or not, I think Nigerians have that impression that once the election is done away with, that the government will find a way to inject liquidity into the system. And to be quite honest with you, the issue of this cash crunch is a major challenge for Nigeria and Nigerians. Because for you to get, the way it stands is that bad now that I went to Shagamu yesterday. For me to get 3,000 for my road expenses, the transportation and all that, I needed to pay 900 service charge.
Yours is 900. I actually got mine for 600.
So they debited me 3,900 and I got 3,000. So meaning I paid 900 for 3,000. So it's that bad.
That's high.
And you can imagine a situation where you are capturing that into the business you are doing, and it's already increasing the cost of production and cost of services you want to render. And it's not funny in any way at all. So I think that is a major challenge Nigerians are facing. Because we're thinking that after this election, the government will find a way to inject money into the system in terms of cash.
Okay, away from the negative aspect, because it seems that's what we're looking at. Let's also look at it from this angle. Do you think Inec postponing the election is going to make things right, like correcting the errors we had in the previous, that's the last election, that's the presidential election we had? They had a lot of BVAS malfunction, rigging. Are they trying to cover their tracks, like getting the right things to be done? Or it's just a way for them to, help themselves in order to cover up? And maybe if they want to do anything funny, they have enough time to cover up their tracks, so the rigging won't be as obvious as it was in the last election.
I hope they get it right, but personally, I have lost confidence in their process. But however I look at it, I think we should still give them that benefit of doubt to conduct this forthcoming election, because they have equally repeated it that they are going to deploy these BVAS in terms of using it for accreditation, even uploading the result to Inec server and Inec viewing portal. And more so as a court has compelled them in Lagos to ensure that the result is uploaded to Inec viewing portal and Inec server. So I hope they get it right. Until we see their action and inaction, the election is a proper, we cannot judge the process. But for me, I can confidently tell you that I have no confidence in that process.
All right, so let's leave it there at this hour. We just hope that things really turns out well as they are trying to put their house in order and also check all that they have to deploy for the elections that is actually coming up in the following weeks, or following days ahead. All right, so this is the much we have for you at this very segment, and we'll be going on a short break now, and then when we come back, we'll bring you more discussions. Please stay with us. All right, thank you very much for staying with us. We're still not done. We'll be talking about the violence that has erupted in some parts of Lagos, and just yesterday a market was actually burnt here in Lagos, somewhere in Apapa if I'm not mistaken. And we have the same guest in the studio here who will be taking us all through that to be able to help us explain if this actually burning down of the market is politically motivated or something that actually went wrong somewhere that led to the burning down of that market. And also we'll be looking at all the violences in the country, which started immediately after the presidential election ended, and all the, angers and anguish that Nigerians have been meting out. We still have in the studio, like I said, Matthew Oluku, who is a public affairs analyst. Welcome and thank you for staying with us.
Thank you.
All right, sir, let's hear you as you tell us your perspective about, first, the anger and the violence that has actually started right from the concluded presidential election down to this time. What do you have to say concerning this? Do you think this anger is as a result of that, or some people are just using that as an umbrella, so to speak, to unleash their anger? What exactly is your opinion on that, first and foremost?
I think this issue of violence, whether before, after, or during election, should be discouraged by all well-meaning Nigerians, because what we are saying have capacity of enveloping this country. So it's a very sensitive thing that every stakeholder have to come together to address it, especially as people are already giving it ethnic coloration and all that. And I hope the Lagos State government, I'm talking about the recent incidents that happened in Lagos here, how the Lagos State government will quickly do the investigation and ensure that if anyone is indicted, the person is made to face the wrath of the law to act as a deterrent to others. Because if you look at in the build-up to this election, you agree with me that we had so much tension in the air. And as a result, you have there's one non-governmental organization that did an appraisal about the violence that characterized this election. You understand that even only this election, you have about 339 violence-related cases. And in the Southwest here, according to the report, about 99. In the Southeast, about 77, which is the second highest. In the South-South, about 64 or so. In the North Central, about 54. Then I think followed by the Northeast, Northwest, which is about 26, and Northeast about 21. So generally speaking, I think by now we should have advanced to the stage where Nigerians, politicians, should play by the rule. And a situation where they should know that violence have no place in the electoral process. We were talking about politics, that is a game of number. That you need to articulate your interests, you need to go to the electorates, you need to canvass your go to the electorate to canvass your opinion, your manifesto, and all that. But instead of people doing that, you see some politicians making some comment that is capable of igniting crisis. And if you look at the basis of all these crises, it may not be unconnected with utterances from political gladiators. That is why it's quite unfortunate that even after all the political parties may have signed peace accord, you see this level of violence. So for me, I think it should be discouraged. And I think the one we saw in Lagos, if it is politically motivated, I think the government should do the needful by doing a proper investigation and ensure that anyone that is indicted is punished according to the law. And where people have suffered damage, I think the government should move in and see how they can
compensate.
Bring some level of succor to them, maybe by monetary
financial help
okay, and all that. Because it will not be too good if somebody loses his means of livelihood as a result of this kind of violence, not because it's a natural disaster and perhaps if it is politically induced. I'm not drawing an inference to conclude that it's politically induced, but I'm saying that let the government do a proper investigation and unravel what actually transpired.
All right. Okay.
What are the means you think the government should put in place so such things can't can't happen again, like the Akere market incident that took place yesterday. So, because we may not know if it's actually politically motivated or it's just an occurrence. So, but what should the government do to make sure such incidents doesn't happen again?
To start with, it behooves on the government to protect life and property. And when they do that, they are not doing anybody any favor. It's incumbent on them to do that. And this is not the first time we are seeing government failing in that major area of responsibility. So what we are expecting government to do is to be proactive. Because what we are seeing now after this incident is reaction. A reactionary approach is not the best. So I think the government needs to start moving in to gather actionable intelligence. Don't forget that as a government, you have different security agencies. You have the DSS that is saddled with the responsibility of intelligence gathering. So I expected the government to, through the DSS, get this information before it was hatched, if actually it's politically motivated. So in that regard, I expect the government to deploy more of their DSS personnel to strategic areas in society to gather more actionable intelligence to foster such obnoxious trend.
Thank you very much, Mr. Matthew Oluko, for being on the show today and giving us your 2 cents on the matter of election postponement, the impact this could have on Nigerians, and also helping us see the meaning or the reason why we're having some of this violence and or civil unrest in the country at the moment. Thank you very much for being on the program today, Matthew Oluko.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you. It's my pleasure being here.
All right, so we'll be moving now to another part of this program. We're not done, and this will come just after this break. Please stay with us.